I just wanted to address that. It's funny that you call Naomi Wolf a feminist when she's actually a rape apologist and basically blamed the victims of Julian Assange's rape. So she's actually not really a feminist at all.
Who?
Naomi Wolf. You mentioned her in the beginning.
She actually, as far as I'm concerned, she says she's a feminist. And
She says she is, but she's a rape apologist.
I don't know about that. Being skeptical is not rape apology.
Okay. You also said that men deserve a safe space on campus, but I would have to say that every space in society is actually a safe space for men. Men don't get catcalled when they walk down the street. I'm sorry, whenever I'm an openly gay student, whenever I fucking walk down the street, people yell at me, okay? Why? Because men like to catcall women. If I wear a short skirt, I get harassed when I walk down the street.
Catcalls are good.
No, they're not good. I'm saying, is the world a safe space for women? No. Women deserve a safe space on campus. Queer people deserve a safe space on campus. Trans people deserve a safe space on campus.
Groups exist because of that, right?
You mean enough? Why do men need a safe space on campus?
Why do men need a safe space? Because the very idea of an event where men are talking about men's issues in a non-sanctioned manner, right, by the powers that be, right? In other words, they don't have feminists puppeting them, right, pulling their strings, telling them what to say, okay, or they don't have feminist ideology to do it, okay? When that happens, then you have what happened at the Warren Farrell protest. I don't know if you watched the footage of that, right? But if I were one of the men who was trying to attend an event talking about male suicide and all kinds of other stuff, and I had some woman who knows she can get away with it up in my face calling me every name in the book, screaming at me, I don't think I'd feel very safe, right? Okay? And frankly, men are the majority of victims of public sphere violence.
I'm not saying that any of those statistics or male suicide, any of that stuff exists, because it does. Men are the victims of more workplace violence, workplace suicides, low enrollment rates. That said, that's not systematic oppression in society.
Really? I think that when a 6-year-old girl can hit another child and get away with it and never ever have to suffer retaliation because he's a boy, okay? I think that's systematic. How? Because if the system intervenes and punishes the boy for hitting back, right? It's systematic.
Because we hear the same argument. What, you're saying that it should be okay to hit women? Nobody should be hitting anybody in the first place. Hit back. You can hit back. You shouldn't
it's okay for a woman to hit a man?
What?
Why does feminism say it's okay to hit a man?
Feminism does not say that it's okay to hit a man.
Okay. Thank you for the questions.
Professor Sheehy.
Okay, We appreciate the questions and the conversation that it resulted in. We do have some questions from downstairs, so we're going to go there. They've been very patient, so I'm trying to give everybody a chance here. And this is a two-part question, Karen. Part one, do you consider yourself pro-man or anti-feminism? Anti-feminist, whatever. And part two is current legislation are the results of decades of women being abused. Why do you support returning to the past?
Sorry, what was the second part?
It says current legislation is the result of decades of women being abused. Why do you support returning to the past?
I'm not sure how I'm supporting returning to the past. What I'm supporting is that we extend the services and assistance that we currently give female victims to male ones, right? And it's not, we have the system that we have because for decades women were, actually for centuries, really, for millennia, I'm sure, there were women who were abused, okay? There were also men who were abused, and there is documentation of society's reaction and how society would deal with a man who the community discovered his wife was beating him, right? And he would be publicly shamed by being ridden through the town square seated backwards on a donkey while the crowd jeered and threw things at him, right? Or he would be strapped to a cart and have the same thing done, right? It's called the Skimmington Ride, where they would bang pots and pans at him, sometimes when he was in his house and throw things at his house, because He was allowing himself to be abused by his wife, right? There was no help for him, right? There was marginal sympathy, right? It's not my business, but I feel for you. Maybe I can give you some advice to make it better for women, right? There was no sympathy for men. There still is no sympathy for men who find themselves in that position. And frankly, to say that I'm trying to take us back to the days before battered women's shelters existed, when one of my stories today, one of my anecdotes, was about a personal friend of mine, right? Erin Pitsey, the woman who opened the very first battered women's shelter and who also wanted to open shelters for men, but was blocked at every turn in her efforts by radical feminists. So I guess maybe Danny Boy was right, and feminists believe it is okay for a woman to hit a man.